the quietude.
Good morning. This is Reverend Jay Lang. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in Napa Valley. I'm glad you're able to join us today. It's a beautiful God morning, a beautiful day to create that which is coming through us as us. And to be part of that and the celebration we have this morning, we're going to welcome Diego Garcia for some morning chants here. Let's welcome Diego.
Makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Oh yeah, I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Go ahead and clap your hands wherever you are. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything. One more time, I can't help it, makes me want to sing. Sing it out, make it happen. God makes me want to sing. It makes me feel so good, I can do most anything.
Thank you, Diego. So great to have you here and everybody here this morning. We are all part of a collective energy wherever you are. We welcome you. If you happen to be with us for the first time or the first time in a while rejoining us, we welcome you, and we also welcome our community members who are staying connected in this way online, virtually, and yet we know in consciousness we are all one. So great to have you as part of our audience today. We like to begin each service with our vision and mission statement. So if you remember it, that's great. I'm going to say it in a way that you can just repeat it after me as well. We are an inclusive community.
We are an inclusive community.
For spiritual growth and compassionate action.
For spiritual growth and compassionate action.
And our mission statement. We are co-creating a world that works for everyone.
We are co-creating a world that works for everyone.
By living intentionally.
By living intentionally.
Loving unconditionally.
Loving unconditionally.
And seeing God in all people and all faiths.
By seeing God in all people and all faiths.
So great to affirm that daily. You've already seen Diego here on the screen, and what you can't see is what's behind the screen, the back house, so to speak, today. Kristen Moore will open us up in prayer and meditation in a few moments. Shauna Marshall is here, and Phil and Alex are back on the tech team back there, and we're all bringing this to you live into your living rooms, and we are so grateful that you're tuning in with us today. We do have a couple of announcements that just let you know. After our service, we have a Zoom community meeting, and we'll provide the link for you there online that you can get into and join us for just connecting with each other. You get to see each other's faces, which is great. If you're new to us, feel free to join us, and we'll get to know you that way, and you get to know our community. We also know that next Sunday will be Diego's last Sunday with us. Although we're sad for it, it's going to be a day of celebration next Sunday. And what we'd like you to do is to send me an email or to post comments about what Diego's meant to you and to this community. We would appreciate it, and then we'll read those during the service next time and be able to honor you in the way we wish we could do in person, but we can still do it in spirit in this way. You can also send a card in care of our center, and we'll make sure Diego receives that as well. So, so good to have you here today, and we will miss you at the same time. So, yes. The other thing I wanted to let you know about is we appreciate your support, both in prayers. We know that we are holding prayers for you and that we can feel your prayers as well. So thank you so much for that. We also appreciate your financial support during this time of challenging economic times, so that if you are able to, we appreciate it. Any support you give us, either through PayPal on our website or Facebook donations there if you're on Facebook, or you can send a check to the center, to our regular mail. We pick that up on a regular basis. So we appreciate your support during this time to continue to thrive, for our vision and mission is not limited by us meeting on Sunday. It continues to be in spirit and in action the way we do it. So thank you for that. Now we'll begin the sacred part of our service.
Still my mind, be at peace. In my awakening, I release with my heart, free my soul. In my awakening, I am whole. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti.
And so go ahead and close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a few deep breaths. Knowing that there is only one, this one infinite, absolute, eternal presence, this one thing that is everywhere, everyone, every when. It is every decision, every action. And what I know about this one thing, the only thing that is going on, is that it is all good. It is divine perfection. It is love and light, joy and peace, abundance and freedom. It is all of the goodness and the fullness and the presence of life. And I know that because there is only this one presence going on, this I am that I am, I know that each and every one of us is that I am presence. We are the abundance and the love and the laughter and the joy and the peace and the abundance, the health and the wholeness and the divine perfection of that one thing that we call God, source, essence. And I know and affirm right here and right now that this time together is blessed, that each and every person gets exactly what they need, and that we are deeply and powerfully connected with one another through this time. That there is a sacredness and a grounding together that happens through this time. I know that the music is amazing and profound. I know that the message is inspirational and awesome. I know that this time is so good. It's so God. And so now I just deepen further into a moment of deep breath and silent meditation, allowing the sound of the bells to move us deeper into that grounded space. And now we just move from this moment of silence into profound gratitude and thanksgiving for life, for the center, for each and every person and our deep and powerful connection. I simply let it go, and so it is. And now I have an affirmation for us this week. And you can repeat after me. And we'll say it 3 times. I write my story in freedom and joy. I write my story in freedom and joy. I write my story in freedom and joy. And so it is.
Hi, friends. Happy to be coming to you from the center here today, and happy to be in connection with you, knowing that Spirit is always present. And we talk about how Spirit is present in a room when 2 or more are gathered. Well, we have a few more gathered here, but we know that connection, that togetherness exists beyond any walls, beyond any sense of fear, any sense of pandemic. We know there are those things that we need to do. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to, give this thing a chance by staying home, washing your hands, staying safe, wearing your masks. Then this too shall pass. I wanted to share a song with you today from one of my very favorite artists in New Thought, popularized by Stephen Mitchell. And it's really about knowing that wherever you are, awake, asleep, you are a conscious being, and that consciousness exists in the world to light the world. It exists in the world to bring joy, bring peace, and we can be that peace and that God-centered connection. And even when things are down, even when things go unexpectedly, then it just reminds us that we could take a breath, we can take a moment, and we can know that there is something to celebrate, because that which we see the world from, that's that consciousness, that God consciousness. We can celebrate that every single moment of our day, no matter where we are, at home, on the road, waiting for all this to be done. We can celebrate our life today. There are days so hard, seems like nothing's going right. There are nights so cold, you're just praying for the light. There are times when you think that there's no going on. You're convinced you're just not that strong. But just then a day like this comes along. So celebrate your life today. Great and joyful things have come your way. Love with all your heart and soul today. Know that God has made you whole today. There will never be a better day than today to celebrate. whatever you dreamed of. All you need to do is love yourself. Just then you'll find you'll always rise above. So celebrate your life today. Great and joyful things have come your way. Love with all your heart and soul today. Know that God has made you whole today. There will never be a better day than today to celebrate. It can take so long to reap what you sow. You can lose your way even when you're sure which way to go. So why appreciate what you have now? You already understand how. You can open your mind and heart as wide as they'll allow. So celebrate your life today. Great and joyful things have come your way. Love with all your heart and soul today. Know that God has made you whole today. There will never be a better day than today to celebrate, to celebrate. There will never be a better day than today to celebrate, to celebrate.
Beautiful, Diego. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Such a wonderful blessing to have you here today and to have you online as well and be part of this, because it is true, no matter what's going on. I know these are challenging times, but we really want to celebrate life. We want to be in this place of deeper connection, deeper life that we know. And we can do that. There's nothing that stands in our way of doing that. You have to remember that we think that there might be some constraints on life, but life continues in beautiful and wonderful ways. This month we have been talking about the healing light. And this light is always there. Nothing stops it from being there. It is contained in nothing and open to all. So we just celebrate that. And today we're talking about the rest of our story. A lot of people, when I talk to them these days, are concerned because they think their dreams and their intentions are on hold, that they even say, why do we bother to do our conscious work when we're not able to be out in the world to manifest these ideas and these dreams? And we have to remember that this philosophy we have and the truth that is twice created. That first we create it within ourselves. And nothing stops that now, and we can actually have a fuller inner life now. And know that as we begin to continue to make connections with each other online or over the phone, that's part of this manifestation as well. And that we continue to allow Spirit to reveal in us the truth that is always there. I know that it may seem challenging at these times that not only are we isolated, that we have our own individual challenges, but around the world there are challenges. I know that locally and around this nation, I don't know about other nations, but there are people who are economically challenged, and there are long lines for the food bank distribution here in Napa that are blocks long, of people that need this food. And it makes my lining up at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods to complain about it seem rather silly, because I have the money to pay for that food, and I'm grateful for that. And we know there are resources available for anybody who might need it. There are resources at the food bank, and resources available for unemployment and different things like that. So we just bless each other. And what we know about this idea of writing our own story is that we are and can continue to experience that which we are seeking in our inner world and our outer world. It was Louise Hay, the master metaphysician and prolific author, that said that we are each an author of our lives. What we know is the future is unwritten, and we can be a conscious agent of writing this story that is ours. We can create it and simply take whatever extra space we have in our lives at this time to allow this inner life to contemplate, to realize, to co-create within us the experience that we are seeking. And we know that is allowing this to create the life of our choosing, the story that we write. We also know that at this time we are rewriting the story of our society, of our culture, of this valley and this country, a world in transition. And we know one thing for sure, that we trust in spirit, we trust in the universe, and good is coming out of this situation, even if we may not see it. This story is unwritten for us personally, and it's unwritten for us as a culture, and yet we still can influence it. We still can be a part of this co-creation. I know across this world, across all countries and cultures and languages, that they're really having a conversation about this pandemic. And it reminds us of how interconnected we really are on a physical level, but also on an energetic level. And there's no sense in us waiting to create that which we seek, because we are co-creating. And I guarantee you the universe is not waiting for us to create. It is happening around us. I often say that with this climate change we have going on on this earth, that if we can't turn it around and we make this planet inhabitable, life will continue. And come to find out, as we're in seclusion these days, life is continuing quite well. The cherry tree here at the center has blossomed. The creek still flows. All of the spring is springing everywhere around us. And I also know in national parks and wildlife parks around the world that the animal life is actually enjoying a break from all the human traffic involved. The buffalo and the wolves are roaming. I know at the Yosemite National Park, the bears are just walking down roads, and normally places where there are lines of cars. South Africa, at the wildlife park there, the lions are just laying down in the middle of the road because it's warm like a rock. You can imagine your own cat is sunning itself. And so they enjoy that there's no traffic there. I don't even know if they're aware. They're just aware that there's not people around. But nature is continuing to create itself and aliveness, and it's the same aliveness that we can recognize in ourselves now, that the universe is still moving and creating with us, even if we are not on the level of same participation. And perhaps one of the shifts we can do, and in the future that I'm visioning, is we have less activity in the world, because with this less activity, not only are the animals doing well, but there is fresher air and cleaner water because of our lessened activity. So perhaps we can find ways to be just as productive, but be less engaged in driving our cars and producing things in manufacturing plants that create pollution. And the other part of this that's real important to consider is that there were shifts going on energetically in consciousness before the COVID pandemic. And that is continuing now, and it's based on love, it's based on light, it's based on the consciousness that we know that we can create in different ways. And it means that we want to create in a different way. James O'Dowd, who is an author of books called Conscious Activism, Cultivating Peace, and Social Awakening, and he himself has been part of Noetic Sciences, Amnesty International, other things. He said that collectively at this time, we've been sent indoors to do our essential human homework, to hit the pause button of our hyper-accelerating lives and reflect on what is really of value. It is to get into our hearts to discover that human being is a magnificent thing, that each human being is uniquely formed, a uniquely formed stream of creativity, so perfectly designed to flow into communal rivers of renewal and to a great tidal shift that moves us in the years ahead to declare that we are powered by the energy of love. By the energy of love. What I know is life is powered by this love, this light, this life energy itself that is within us, that is around us. And we know this because we can recognize it within ourselves. We can recognize it in every river, every ocean, every tree, every forest, every lake, every creature, every human, every galaxy that's orbiting and moving and creating itself in the very nature of creation. We know there's this aliveness and it's this power, and it's that which we can find our source for life in. And even for this economy that's not based on numbers, based on quantity, or nations that are thriving, they think, because of a numbers game of toys of mass destruction, as well as numbers of GDP and the value of their money system, but instead on the quality of life for each individual. That we measure it by the degree to which we are free to be and can create this life that works for everyone. And I see not only was it started before this time, but during this time that we can continue to create it. And it's in the silence, it's in this time of pause that James O'Dowd was talking about, that we get to do our essential human homework that allows us to co-create a better way. There are shifts happening in the way businesses are done, once again, before this, and they continue to be, that leaders are basing their work on compassion and what's good for their employees rather than the bottom dollar. And we can do the same for our nations as well, to have conscious leadership at all levels, in business, in nonprofits, in government, in all aspects of our leadership, for them to seek to be conscious, to seek to choose options that are working for everyone, or at least for most everybody, as we can create. And it doesn't mean that our story has to be on pause, or the story of this creation of a bigger universe, because we continue to create life in this way. We continue to be this magnificence that we are. So how can we write this story that is unwritten? How can we create a life not only for ourselves, our community, but for our nation and the world as a whole? Well, I have three things. The first one is to not drink the Kool-Aid. I'll explain more about that in a minute. But also to know the greater truth of who we are, and know that Spirit is always revealing in us, and that we can be this participant in writing our story. So the first, this idea about not drinking the Kool-Aid. Of course, this alludes to a couple different things. First of all, I don't know about you, but when I was a child and I drank cherry Kool-Aid or grape Kool-Aid, I thought it had real fruit in it. I didn't realize that it was artificial flavors. And as a matter of fact, I drank the Kool-Aid so much when I tasted something that was real grape juice, I didn't think it was real grapes, because I thought that grape flavor was the taste of grapes was this Kool-Aid. I had believed that story. And then I hear this story, and you probably remember it was decades ago, but the Jonestown Massacre, where over 900 people died by drinking Kool-Aid that had poison in it because their leader had told them to drink it. Now, whether they knew it was poisonous or not, at some level they bought into this story by their leader, James Jones. And so we buy into things into our lives. We watch television, whether it's progressive or conservative, there's a spin on it, and we just buy it if it's true. People tell us stories, and we don't allow a greater truth, a more universal truth to come through there. And the same is true for stories we tell ourselves that we've been telling ourselves from kids, like this Kool-Aid that we thought was the real grape juice, was the real thing, and come to find out it's not. And who is best to be this truth teller is our own self, our own powerful self within us, allowing Spirit, a greater truth, to come through us to reveal to us this magnificence that it is, and to be mindful about ways these stories affect our lives and they're false. And if we can just stop for a moment and say, if we didn't believe this story, how would our life be different? How would we live our life different? And the truth is, we may not even know what these beliefs or stories are that are false in our lives, but if we observe our life and it's not the life that we want, we begin to choose this life that we want. Within ourselves we experience it, and with around us. And when there's resistance to it, then we know that there's a belief or a story we're telling ourselves that's false, and we can let that go, and we continue to live our life in a way that is the life of our choosing, the life we want to live, the life of our intention, which is one of light and love and a celebration of life that Diego sang to us this morning. And we know that this creative part of ourselves is what is true. And we can allow it to reveal ourselves in every way. Every truth that we have is present with us. Last week and the week before, I was talking about Jesus. And I just wanted to kind of give you a little more information about that, about after he died and what happened to his story. Now, in his life, he had people recording his teachings, what's called the wisdom teachings of Jesus. Certain phrases. I don't know if they wrote down all his parables, but they did capture a lot of his wise sayings that he said, almost like a book of quotes. And the parables, the stories he told, endured also because they're stories, and we remember stories. So that's the part of his life we know about because they were written about in his lifetime. After he died, his followers fled in all directions because they were scared, because the man they believed was going to save them from the Roman government, from the Jewish false teachers, suddenly left. He died, and their dreams left too. And so they thought they had to move on with their lives. There were people who stayed around to talk about him some, but it quickly drifted away. And it wasn't until decades later, until the part of Jewish life that people thought Jesus was there to do, which was an overthrow of the current system on a political system. And he was more of a spiritual activist than a political activist. But they continued this rebellion, and it became such a problem with the Romans that they destroyed the temple 70 years in the Common Era, in 70 CE. And it was at that time when some of the Jews gathered and they said, boy, this is not working. What can we do? And they turned to God, and it was revealed in them the truth of the life of Jesus. And at that time, the first gospel was written, which was the Gospel of Mark. And Mark, whoever that person was not a person who was a part of the life of Jesus, but a couple generations later. But what they still had access to were these wisdom teachings. It was his legacy. And they could tie into that. And the very first gospel that was written didn't have any account of a virgin birth. It had the stories that were contextually set up to talk about ways that he taught. Things like Sermon on the Mount. It's doubted that all of that information was put into one afternoon of teaching on a hill, but it was a way to get these wisdom teachings across. It was an avenue for that. And Mark also ended with his death, but didn't talk about any appearance he made after that. And the subsequent books of Matthew and Luke were done another generation past that, and they added things to it. So there kept being things added to this story, but what kept true, that it continually to reveal truth, was these wisdom teachings that Jesus taught. That was his enduring legacy that now continues to give fruit to everybody who seeks this wisdom. And we also think about our own life, about our own legacy, about what's enduring for us to leave, and what a great time for us to reflect on what's most important, our priorities in life. May it be about love and relationship and deeper connection rather than anything that is more of the material world. And that which is material that we do have can be an enduring legacy for us. I know there's a couple, the Hefferlins, that John and Marion Hefferlin, that left a fund for New Thought that is a trust fund that they give grants out of the interest that, and I know we've received a few grants, some students have received that, so their material gifts, they had first thought about giving to a hospital, but instead they gave to a fund for Centers for Spiritual Living, and we are blessed by that still. And I know that this center and other centers are glad to set up, we have a foundational fund that if from your estate you want to give a part of all your fund, then you can continue to give to the legacy of this center and our sustainability as well. And we appreciate that because we want to look at what we're giving that is enduring. And like I said, may it be these loves and this relationship that we know. There's a group called the Jesus Seminar that was a group of about 150 theologians and lay historians that met about 30 years ago now. And they looked at the Gospels, and they included the Gospel of Thomas as what they called the fifth Gospel, which was part of the Nag Hammadi collection that were found in a cave. And they began to look at what Jesus said, and they divided what he said into whether he probably said it, he might have said it, he probably didn't say it, or he definitely didn't say it, that somebody added that. And they created there, and you can still find these books called the Jesus Seminar or the Five Gospels, and they kind of divide it up. It's kind of interesting to see what their assessment, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but what I know is that there was a consideration of things, and that we can find the truth in our own way to reveal. The conclusion they made about Jesus, that he was a mortal man born of two human parents who didn't die as a substitute for sinners, nor rise boldly from the dead. Now that was their conclusion. We all reach our own conclusion, our own way of doing things. We know that forgiveness is found. Jesus taught that forgiveness is found in our lifetime, that we didn't need to wait for him to die, that we can forgive others as we are forgiven, as he said in his what's called the Lord's Prayer now. And we also know that the kingdom of God is within. We don't need to wait for that we can find this kingdom of God according to his teachings. And even if he didn't say it, we can find that in our inner life, Because my second point today is that Spirit is always revealing in us the truth. And we can find this truth. Ernest Holmes said that we believe in the unity of life, that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. He also said that the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Anybody can be a revealer of truth in close contact with this indwelling God. How powerful is that? I know that a couple decades ago, I went on a retreat at a Benedictine monastery that's in the mountains of Colorado near the town of Snowmass. And in it, this was founded by Thomas Keating, and I was taught a prayer called centering prayer. And in this centering prayer, it is opening to Spirit, it is opening to the kingdom of God within and quietness. But then you can take a phrase, a quote, or a Bible verse, an image even perhaps, and allow it to reveal the truth in you. What does it mean to you? We don't interpret by somebody's interpretation of what that is. We allow it to be revealed in us and what it means to our life right now. And we can do that now. I know that even in the New Age context, sometimes people do a tarot reading where a card is turned over and the tarot reader will say, well, this card means this and this. I think there might be some value into it, but I find greater value in to take an oracle deck like that, a tarot deck, or other images on cards, and to allow myself to come centered, and I pull a card and allow what that image means to me in this moment, what is Spirit trying to reveal to me. And it can even be a moment of meditation. We don't have any stimulus at all. We can just allow Spirit to say, what is being born in me now? What is seeking to be revealed in me? How can I serve in this moment? And allow Spirit to open up in this. And we find whether it's a parable, a story, or just allowing Spirit to reveal in us, we can find a deeper truth in our lives just by allowing it to be. And the final thing I want to talk today about is about writing our own story and how we can do it. Just allow this co-creation to happen with us. During this time of isolation, I've been rereading the Harry Potter series, which I loved reading the first time with my children, and now I'm just reading them on my own. And what delightful stories. But I can't help but think about how Harry Potter is this person who doesn't realize what a special person he is, but the story is brought to him, and the same is true of Star Wars characters like Luke or Anakin or Rey, or in the Hobbit series, Bilbo Baggins. Suddenly this story comes to them. Well, the truth is this rarely happens to us in our lives, that we need to actively and consciously create a story, our truth in our lives, and we co-create it. Because if we don't do it, other people will create this story for us. They're glad if we're passive in our lives, our story will be written for us, our narrative. And we can co-create this life, and we can be part of co-creating this universal way. And we do it through a simple way of opening up to Spirit in our quiet moments, to journal, to just allow images or words or feelings to come forth. The mystic Meister Eckhart wrote that all beings are words of God. It's music, it's art, and all creatures are doing their best to help God in its birth of itself. Enough talk for now, he said. I need to be silent for a while. It is laboring in me. Worlds are forming in my heart. So in his mystical revelation, when he wrote this poem, he recognized that worlds are forming inside of him that are creating, and he needed to be silent in order for this to happen. So during this time of social isolation, may we take some time to be silent and allow this creative intelligence to labor within us. We can even have an imagination of what this is, or a feeling, or maybe it's not quite formed yet, and begin to write and paint and maybe cut pictures out of magazines and put them on a board and allow this to continue to evolve and see this vision that's coming forth, that we can experience it within our heart, within our soul. And we know once we experience it in here, this is a journey that we can experience. In closing today, I want to quote John Donoghue, who wrote a poem in his book called "To Bless the Space Between Us." And it's funny when you have a mystical poet like John O'Donoghue or other people. Their words are so universal, it speaks to us at any time, and especially to this time. So these are his words. You are in this time of the interim when everything seems withheld. The path you took to get here has washed out. The way forward is still concealed from you. The old is not old enough to have died away, and the new is still too young to be born. You cannot lay claim to anything in this place of dusk. Your eyes are blurred. There is no mirror. You can see nowhere to put trust. You know you have to make your own way through. As far as you can, hold your confidence. Do not allow confusion to squander this call which is loosening your roots. You may come free from all you have outgrown. What is being transfigured here in your mind, and it is difficult and slow to become new. The more faithfully you can endure here, the more refined your heart will become for your arrival in the new dawn. The more faithfully you can endure here, the more refined your heart will become for your arrival in this new dawn. So as we begin to let go of our old ways, of old stories, and writing new stories, let's do that by creating space that might be available at this time, or to make this space, to imagine, to experience that which we want to create and put it in form, to put it in truth, to put it in words, and know it is already true by us experiencing it. The blessing that we are continues to be blessing in the world, even if we are at this time isolated. We are this truth of life. Let's go to prayer. We know there is only one God, one life, one love. And that love is what we experience within us at all times. And we know the truth of our life is right here and right now. That there can be nothing that stands in the way of our full health, our full wealth, our full creativity, because Spirit in us has no limits. And we experience it fully and completely, and the truth is revealing itself right here and right now. I know all those prayer requests that have been sent to us as well as spoken in this very moment are heard by the universe and are being acted upon. And I know this to be the truth. I know the truth of who we are is Spirit itself in action. We are love in action. We are truth in action. And for this, I'm so grateful as I release this word into the law, knowing it is already so. And so it is. Blessings. And now for more, here's Diego.
Thank you, Reverend Jay.
Thank you.
The poet John Donoghue lived in a small home in the Burren, Western Ireland, looking out just onto a kind of lonely expanse, but he felt that it was a place where he could retreat and create, because he knew that he had to find some space and some distance from the hustle and bustle of the world And it's interesting how each and every one of us right now are kind of called to that at this very moment. We think of it as being forced to be sequestered, to be told to stay home, but really we're being called to create, being called closer to Spirit. And so I'd like to offer this next song of gratitude, an honoring of the different ways that we presence and language things. This is a song from one of our sisters down in South America, Violeta Parra, who wrote this wonderful, wonderful anthem to life, giving thanks for it. It's been recorded many times by many great artists, including Joan Baez. It's really just a testament to going through each and every one of those things which sometimes we just pass right by because we're always in a rush, but right now we have that moment. Those of you that are at home watching on your screens and you can still look outside, you can look around, you can look within. And just take a moment to give thanks. Give thanks for the first responders. Give thanks for those people that are still out in the fields, tending to the crops, bringing the food, delivering. The first responders on the front lines, scientists. We're trying to find a cure for ministers and practitioners. For each and every one of us, there's always more that we can give thanks for. This song, which I'll sing in Spanish, is called Gracias A La Vida. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto. Me dio dos luceros que cuando los abro perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco, y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado, y en las multitudes la persona que yo amo. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el oído que en todo su ancho graba noche y día, grillos y canarios, martillos, turbinas, ladrillos, chubascos y la voz de la tierna de mi bien amada. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario, con él las palabras que pienso y declaro. Madre, amiga, hermano y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado las marchas de mis pies cansados. Con ello anduve ciudades y charcos, playas y desiertos, montañas y llanos, y la casa tuya, tu calle y tu patio. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio el corazón que agita su marco cuando mido el fruto del cerebro humano, cuando mido el bueno tan lejos del malo, cuando miro al fondo de tus ojos claros. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa, me ha dado el llanto, así yo distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que es en mi mismo canto. El canto de todos es mi propio canto. Gracias a la vida, thank you. Gracias a la vida, gracias a la vida. Gracias a la vida.
Beautiful, Diego. Thank you so much. It's just beautiful to be in this space today. Thank you very much for joining us today. Traditionally in our services, a time when we invite people to give to the center of sharing of their abundance, so we know that whatever you give at this time, whether you've given during this week or during this time, that we know that your offering is blessed and multiplied wherever you are, and we know this to be the truth. We also bless you right where you are, and knowing that with the affirmation that we give, whether you're new or relatively new to our online viewing or you're one of our longtime members, we just raise our hands up towards you, and you can do the same to us and to everybody else in this community. And we say, we bless you today.
We bless you today.
Knowing that the peace and happiness you seek
Knowing that the peace and happiness you seek
is also seeking you.
is also seeking you.
We honor your inner radiance
We honor your inner radiance
as you let your light shine in the world.
as you let your light shine in the world.
We are grateful for your presence
We are grateful for your presence
in our community.
in our community.
And so it is.
And so it is. And I would like to invite you to prayer. And we are still doing our ministry of prayer via Zoom with all of our practitioners and minister on Tuesday mornings. And so if you have a prayer request, we have put the link to that prayer request form into the chat on YouTube and on Facebook. So please go and fill out a prayer request form. If you can't find that link, no problem. Just email us at revj@nvcsl.org. And
.com.
.com. revj@nvcsl.com. You can email prayer requests there. You can also click that link and fill out that form. It's all confidential, and we love you so much. And I would love to join y'all in blessing all of our children. So all of the children that are a part of this community, all of your children at home, and all of our children all across the whole planet. So if you will repeat after me, we love you.
We love you.
We bless you.
We bless you.
And we're here for you.
And we're here for you.
And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Krista. And then also our community affirmation, if you could repeat that with me. This one's for everybody. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
I am led by Spirit.
I am led by Spirit.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am protected by love.
I am protected by love.
I am here to be a blessing.
I am here to be a blessing.
I am so grateful.
I am so grateful.
And so it
And
is.
so it is.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
We are making a new world right now. So as we go forward, we allow Spirit to reveal in us that which is the truth and the love, that which we are creating. And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.
We love you.